Jonathan Edwards Miscellany, number 240. The Urim and Thummim. There has been great inquiry. What was that Urim and Thummim that was in the breastplate of the high priest? Whereas I think we have it plainly described in Exodus 28, verses 17 to 21. And I don't see that from anything said in Scripture about it, we have reason to think it any other than those 12 precious stones with the names of the 12 tribes on them. And when it is said in Exodus 28, verse 30, "And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and Thummim," it is as if he had said thus, "Thou shalt put in the breastplate the Urim and Thummim," which has been described. The drift of this verse does not seem to be to order anything new, but only to give a name to that which had been before described and to tell the use of it, vis-a-vis that Aaron might bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually, the which seems to me to intend that the high priest might bear that upon his breast, which in God's account and judgment should represent the children of Israel, and should stand for him before him upon the heart of the high priest, their mediator. Every jewel stood for a tribe, and had the name of that tribe written on it that it stood for. God's people are called his jewels. So Christ bears our judgment. That is, he is our representative in judgment, and as to God's dealings with respect to his law, he stands for us. The name Urim and Thummim signifies light and perfection, and it being 'tis the plural number, may more properly be rendered glisterings, or brightnesses, and beauties, because of the charming appearances that the jewels made by their different kinds of glisterings, and the beautiful proportion of their different colors. The church that those jewels represented is in Psalm 50, verse 2, called by a name that is much like to this, vis-a-vis the perfection of beauty. Some say there was an extraordinary brightness given those jewels beyond what was natural to them. That the Urim and Thummim were not two distinct things in the breastplate appears because sometimes when they are spoken of, but one of the names are mentioned, it's called Urim only, as Numbers 27, verse 21, and 1 Samuel 28, verse 6. The use of it seems to be much the same with the plate of gold on the mitre mentioned in Exodus 28, verse 36, whereon was engraved holiness to the Lord, which the high priest was to have on his forehead, that he might bear the iniquity of the children of Israel, and that he might be accepted when he came in before the Lord, as Exodus 28, verse 38. By the Urim and Thummim, he was to bear the judgment of the children of Israel on his heart. By this plate of gold, he was to bear the iniquity of the children of Israel on his head. We find them both mentioned after the same manner, where we have an account of Moses putting the holy garments upon Aaron, as in Leviticus 8, verse 8 and 9. And he put the breastplate upon him, and he put in the breastplate the Urim and the Thummim. And he put the mitre upon his head. Also upon the mitre, even upon his forefront, did he put the golden plate, the holy crown, as the Lord commanded Moses. That which was properly called the breastplate was a cloth curiously wrought, doubled, as Exodus 28, verse 15 and 16, and the Urim and Thummim was the 4 rows of stones set in it, Exodus 28, verse 17 and 18. The manner of inquiring of God by it was the priests appearing with it on before the most holy place, waiting for an answer from off the mercy seat. And when they inquired in the camp, there was a tabernacle that the ephod was kept in, made in the resemblance of the tabernacle of the congregation. The Urim and Thummim, by the beauty and excellency of its appearance, was as proper to obtain acceptance and counsel of God, as incense by the sweetness of its smell was to render their prayers and sacrifices acceptable. It will be objected that if the Urim and Thummim were nothing but that plate of gold with the jewels in it, why is it said in Ezra and Nehemiah that those priests that could not prove their genealogy should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and Thummim, as Ezra 2, verse 63, for if it had been only gold and jewels, they could have gotten them before now. I answer, so if it had been any other material thing, they could have gotten them as well as those jewels. But it seems that being lately returned from captivity, they had not yet gotten them, and it's no wonder they should not, in the circumstances they were in. But it seems by this that they expected to get them in a short time, which if it had been something that must be immediately given by God, they had not so much reason to expect it, for it seems that God had denied them hitherto. But if the objection be allowed, all that it can argue is that the Urim and Thummim was not any material thing, but a power given to the breastplate of foretelling or of obtaining divine responses. For we can't imagine in reason that any material thing was expected to be sent down from heaven to be put into the breastplate, but Leviticus 8, verse 8, proves it was a material thing. Therefore, if they had those jewels in the breastplate at that time, the reason of their speaking in this manner must be because they did not think them worthy the name of Urim and Thummim, till they had such a power given them as the former Urim and Thummim had.